Hey, what's up guys, Cotton here, and I just wanted to make a chill video here. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about a big hot topic I've been seeing on the forums and on Reddit, and that's about modding versus the repair cost. Now, keep in mind, everything I'm going to say here, this is just based on my opinion, my experience of playing the game, what I find works best. We're going to go through a bunch of the different weapons here. We're going to talk about how I would mod them, how the other mods will affect them, things like that, and how it's going to, affect the outcome of your repair cost. Now, with that being said, remember, these are just my opinions. You may disagree with me, that's awesome. I'm welcome to discussion down in the comments below. But the first thing I'm going to say is just because you can fit 5 mods on a gun, that does not mean the gun needs 5 mods. And we'll get into that right now. So this is my main American infantry here. He's almost level 15. He makes me a pretty penny every match I play him. And the reason I'm only using a trigger on my Thompson here is that way I'm only putting out maybe 500 credits in repair a match. So he's easily making me 10, 11 grand credits a match that I complete. But let's go in here and look at the mods. Now, your army ball, you're already at above 25 damage, okay? You're at about, 28 damage-ish a bullet. So you have to assume that if the enemy has no heavy set badge on, you're already on a 4 bullet kill setup, like if you're hitting the chest. So then we get into our ammos now. The United Defense Ranger, that's going to drop your damage down to 25 even, with drop off, starting reasonably later. That's the point of this ammo. The drop off starts a little bit later, but you're still going to drop off damage and be doing less than 25 right after 25 meters. So that's going to increase you. That's going to make the gun at least a 5-hit kill weapon, but it's going to be slightly more accurate. I really don't recommend this ammo because the gun, it's really a close range weapon. The ammo I recommend overall is just the regular 45 army ball ammo, the regular stock stuff. It's cheap, it works great. If you want to go the damage route, you can choose either the Attica AMF or Attica, what is that? Akacita? The AMF or the Kinetic, okay? So they're both the same. They're trading damage for everything else, range, stability, and your precision there. And the Kinetic just does less of each. It's gonna, take away less range and precision and everything, but it's gonna give you a little less damage. Whereas the Attica, you're gonna get the most damage, the most bang for your buck, but it's very close quartered. As you can see, your damage starts to fall off already after maybe 15, 18 meters about. I'm not sure what that is. So you have to think to yourself, how do I want to use the Thompson? I'm not really going to be trying to snipe with it myself, and I don't even really try to mid-range with it. I try to get in close, I drive up with a Jeep, get in the building, and I use it to spray down the room. So that's when you would want to use ammo like this, because it's going to restrict the gun to your distance immediately. But as I said, the 45 ball ammo, you're already above 25 damage, so that's already going to be a 4-hit kill weapon. Increasing to the AMF, you might get lucky. That might bump you down to a 3-hit kill weapon, especially if they're already wounded a little bit. Or if they have heavy set, it'll help chew through and keep the gun at a 4-hit kill ratio. That's just the trade-off that you have to make. Now what goes alongside that is your rate of fire. And the more rounds you're putting down, that's a lot more repair you're going to have to do too, because custom ammo is expensive. So that's why I recommend the 45 Army Ball. So we're going to go to our field adjusted sights. You see I click them and it tightens up our loop just a bit, makes it more accurate. But again, I'm not really trying to snipe with this gun or even mid-range with this gun, so I don't bother. It's just more money I'm going to spend in repairs. The trigger jobs I am interested in. I wanted to stick mainly with the field trigger job just because the marksman trigger, it really tends to give it more spread rate, and it's already kind of wild when it gets high. So I just use a field trigger job for right now, giving us 720 RPM. You can also go with an internal if you want. I recommend the light and spring over the light and bolt, as the penalty is a little bit less because damage drop off. You don't need any more of that. I unfortunately didn't buy it before the new ribbon system came out, so I have to level up my ribbon. The only time you'd want to use a heavy spring is if you were actually trying to mod the weapon for a mid-range weapon. You'd want to maybe slow it down to give it some more stability and maybe use the range ammo or stock ammunition. And now here's our barrel. This I don't use just because, again, watch our chart over here, the blue line to the yellow line. we're only gaining, man, I mean, look at that, it's so minor. We're gaining maybe 1 or 2 damage over the distance. That's not really enough to secure the kill for me. That's not enough to, you know, decrease the amount of rounds the kill would take. So I find this barrel useless. I'm not trying to range with the gun, and I don't like absolutely insane RPMs, so I'm kind of happy I'm not using an internal right now. So I'm just using a trigger on the Thompson, and it's an absolute buzzsaw. The dreaded grease gun. I actually have not used the grease gun that much on this account. I have some stuff unlocked for it, but I would have to go back through my ribbon here. But we can still talk about it. How I would prefer to build the grease gun myself is just a trigger and internal, giving it lots of rate of fire. That's all it really lacks, is rate of fire. You can give it maybe a damage hike if you want from ammunition, but you're not really gaining that much for the cost that it's going to run to have the ammunition. You're gaining, you know, 2 damage there, maybe 4 damage there. So again, it's up to you if you want a little extra oomph at close range. I would not bother with a sight. It has a very unique feel on its own, and you'll get used to it as you play it. But right here, I would go for the field trigger job myself. I don't want to use the marksman trigger and make it even... Look at how much accuracy you're going to lose with the marksman trigger. I would really go with the field trigger job. And for an internal, I would probably go for the light and spring as well. You're going to gain some nice rate of fire for this thing, and be able to put just being able to put a lot more rounds down the field. You'll like the grease gun a lot more. Again, the barrel, it's such a minor gain. It's so minor. Look at this. You're gaining 1 to 2 damage over range. It's not enough to secure or save a bullet for an extra kill. So I wouldn't run a barrel on this. I just wouldn't. There's no point in putting a barrel on the grease gun. So you heard it here. I would rather use just an internal, that's the light and spring, and I would use the field trigger job. That would bump it up above 500 RPMs and make it feel a lot better. If you really wanted to, you can go for maybe the AMF ammo, but keep in mind, doing that, it's going to limit your range. You're going to want to stay even more closer quarter than you normally would. Alright, so now let's look at the 1911. Same thing rules here. It depends on how you want to use the gun, but you're not trying to range with it. It's meant to be a close quartered sidearm. So if you want, you know, aim for some damage ammunition. It could help you secure the kill, possibly taking the gun to a 3-hit kill status when you mix in the barrel later on, or the internal, I'm sorry. But yeah, maybe add some ammo here if you want. If not, the 45 ball, it works fine. Again, I don't really bother with a sight. It's already pretty tight as it is, actually. It's a very accurate gun. And if you really want to spend the extra money to tighten up the accuracy even more, the sight is an option, but I recommend not using it and saving money. The trigger, you may want to put a field adjusted trigger on there. You don't lose that much spread rate at all, and you'll get some faster fire out of it. If you want to go for the fine hair, that's fine. It's a little bit more expensive and harder to maintain. And the match trigger I don't really recommend against, just because you're losing a lot of stability. What makes the gun great is how accurate and low recoil it is, and I don't like taking away from that myself, but you could look into it. But again, the fine hair trigger will actually add more, but there's a difference. You're going to lose precision versus stability here. So I would much rather lose a little bit of stability and keep the bullets landing where they're supposed to land. So now we're going to go over here to the bolt. This one is kind of a no-brainer unless you're going for some kind of weird specialty build, or you're only looking for rate of fire. The heavy pistol bolt is just the way to go. Look at that, one click, we're gaining much more damage over range. We're getting at least a 4 to 5 damage increase per bullet. So you mix that in conjunction with the ammo, and you've definitely got a 3-shot weapon, almost a 2-shot weapon if they're mildly wounded, you know. But again, these other springs, they're all very specialty. The light pistol bolt, you'll gain rate of fire for loss of range, and light spring, you know, you're losing a bit of stability for rate of fire. It's really up to you. It's a specialty build. The barrels here, again, this is iffy to me. You're not gaining too much damage. It actually is a bit nicer on the pistols than it is some of the rifles. because you're gaining decent drop off here. You're doing at least 3 or 4 more damage. But again, that's really up to you if you really want to try that. I rely on the 1911 just as a quick, oh crap, someone pulled up on me sidearm, and that's how I use it. Possibly I'll throw damage ammunition on there and the internal, maybe a trigger if I'm feeling a bit lucky with it. But again, that would be maybe 3 mods we would use on this instead of using all 5 mods, just to save some money. It would give us a nice layout for it. It's not too inaccurate at all. So, just something to think about there. The same goes with the revolver, a very similar setup, just like the other pistols. Alright guys, so like I mentioned with the 1911, the revolver can go with a similar build, a nice slow and steady build. But the revolver is also a little bit special. It responds very well to high rates of fire, and it has its own special ammunition that only the revolver can get, called the United Defense Super P. And as you can see, it is an insane damage hike compared to the normal AMF and the kinetic. The revolver, again, is the only gun that can get this ammunition, so it really is worth it to use it if you're trying to really go offensive with the revolver. If not, stick with stock ammunition to save money. But again, you have the same rules here. There's some range ammo that I would probably never use with the revolver. There's damage and damage, but again, the revolver has its own special ammunition, so just go with that. Because you also don't lose that much precision or anything with it. It's such a good ammunition. Sightings, if you really want, you can put a match sight on there and you can tighten up the revolver even more, but I don't really find myself ranging with the revolver that often. It's just a really powerful close range weapon. So on top of having 50 damage by equipping this ammunition, the revolver also responds very well to rate of fire. You can add any kind of trigger you want. Actually, yes, the hair trigger has the most rate of fire, so that's going to bump us up to 400. And now we can go to our internals, and the light pistol spring will give you more rate of fire, putting us at 480. Now you can seriously put some lead out with this thing very quickly, and if you're also rocking the fast reload badge, you're going to have one handy sidearm on you. The barrels, again, it's really up to you. If you feel like you need a little bit more range with the weapon, go ahead. I have tested the chrome line barrel and it's nice, but you're only gaining maybe 2-3 meters with it. So it's really up to you.